I collect these dial style air pressure gauges from the 50s and 60s. They're really easy to find. I picked this one up off eBay for about $7, and they're never broken when you do find them, but they're hardly ever accurate. And I'm asked about this a lot, so I thought I'd make a quick video. You'll see that most of these gauges are made almost identically. They were probably made in one or two factories, and because of that, they're really easy to troubleshoot and to calibrate. What I typically do is I'll get a modern digital tire pressure gauge, monitor or measure a tire, and then I'll do the same with this old gauge and see how far it's off. This one was off, I believe, 20 pounds. But to get them calibrated is actually a lot easier than you might think. The first thing you got to do is just take it apart. And usually the front, if I can get this off, usually they just kind of pry off like so. And then on the back, you'll have these two Phillips head screws. So let me take those out. And once you have these screws out, the gauge just comes apart. And you know what? Let me get a tighter lens on so we can get a better view of what's going on here. Okay, so here is the gauge disassembled. We turn it around, you can see that it's a pretty simple setup. The air enters the valve and into this brass tube, and the more air pressure you enter into that tube, the more this brass tube tries to straighten, and that in turn works this valve train. So if I straighten the tube, watch the needle. So all we really need to do is calibrate this tube. And the way you do that is you see this tiny, where's my screwdriver? This tiny little kind of U-shaped brass piece here. If you pinch that together, it'll increase the amount of pressure the gauge shows. If you spread it apart, it'll decrease the amount of air pressure the gauge shows. So all you really have to do is get yourself a known accurate tire pressure gauge and compare the two. So if your tire is showing 20 pounds and this gauge here is only showing 15, you know you need to pinch this together. Pinch it together just a tiny bit and then try it on the tire again. And you kind of do that back and forth until eventually the gauge is accurate. So I don't know, I have probably 20 of these things sitting around and they're all dead accurate. And so long as you don't drop them, they stay that way. They're made really well, obviously made in the USA back in the day. And yeah, I just like the way they look. I love the way they function. This one was made in I believe 1957. And look how clean it is. I haven't restored this at all. It's just took it apart and calibrated it, and I've been using it. So yeah, that's it. Get on eBay, buy some of these, and you can have your own pretty cool tire pressure gauge.